Hello, class. Sorry we couldn't see each other today, but I wanted to go ahead and record the lesson. And so I would like you to do this lesson in your notebook. So you should have some grid paper that looks like this. If you have a sheet of this, I want you to take the sheet and paste it into the next clean page of your math notebook. Okay, and if you need to pause this video as we go along to do some of these things, that's perfectly fine. Okay, so today we are going to work on multiplying fractions. Okay, and we're going to use this grid to help us understand what is happening when we are multiplying fractions. Okay, so first we need to know how to draw a multiplication problem on this grid. So let's start with this one. So I'd like you to write that at the top of your page. We can say 3 times 6. Okay, well, we know that 3 times 6 is 18. Okay, but if we were going to draw this 3 times 6 on our grid, okay, we would go, it's a little something like this. We'd draw three units over, and we'd go 6 units up. Oop. Did I do that right? I should go down first. Let's go down first. Sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and we're going to mark this as 6 units. Okay, now the other number we have in our problem is 3. So that will be the other side. And we're going to just connect this all together because this is going to be the whole. We've been talking about wholes when we use decimals. Okay, so this is 3 units. Okay, so if we have 6 units and 3 units, we know that the whole inside of the whole is going to be our answer. Okay, so let's make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Perfect. Okay, and we're going to call these 18 square units. Okay, because that's the whole surface area of our grid. But we've also been talking about fractions. Okay, so if we had a similar problem, maybe we had 3 times 4. Go ahead and make sure you write that on your paper. Okay. Well, we know we would be going over 3. 1, 2, 3. And down 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll be making a big square. Okay. I'll give you a second to get that on your paper. Over 3 and down 4. And we could label this 4 units. And we could label this 3 units. Okay. And we obviously know that 3 times 4 is 12. Okay, so this will be 12 square units. And we talked about how we have a whole. Okay, so I'll even outline this even more in green. This whole square is what we call the whole. Okay, maybe it's a pizza. Maybe it's a pie or a candy bar, right? And things that have a hole can be broken up, okay? And we know that they can be broken up in small pieces, okay? So why don't we label this? If you have another colored pencil or something, you can use it to outline the hole, okay? Or if you just have just a pencil, you want to draw real dark right here, that works too, okay? And so we're going to label this 1 hole. Okay, but like I said, we also know that there are smaller parts of the whole. Okay, so we're just going to take one of these squares. Oop, my pen is not working. Let's try my blue. Okay, and if you don't have any colored pencils, that's okay. You can just shade that a little bit darker. We know that this is a fraction or a small amount of the whole. Okay, a fraction of the whole. Okay, so we can break things into much smaller parts of one entire whole. Okay, so if you need to pause the video so you can get this in your math notebook, go ahead and do that now. Okay, but we also want to talk about how can we multiply fractions. Okay, and we're going to use some of these grids to help us do that. Okay, so let's start with a fraction multiplication problem. Okay, and we're going to draw some grids just like we did in the first example that you wrote down. So you're probably going to need another piece of grid paper. Put it on the next page of your math notebook. Paste it in there. Okay. And at the top, you're going to write 1/3 times 3/4. Okay. But there's another way that we can write this. We know that this symbol of multiplication really means of. Okay. So you can say 1/3 of 3/4. Okay. So make sure you have that written on your paper. Okay. So we know that we're going to take a look at these denominators to decide how many units we need each side of the whole to be. Okay, so we have 3. That's the first one. 1, 2, 3. And then we have the other denominator is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Then we connect that up to create our whole. Okay. So, and we want to go ahead and label all of these. Okay. So up here, we know this is 1/3, 1/3, and 1/3. Okay. And this side is 1/4, and 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. Okay. But our problem is not solved yet. And we drew the grid, but we don't know what 1/3 of 3/4 is. Okay. So to find out what 1/3 of 3/4 is, we need to find out we need to draw a box around the 3/4 of the whole. Okay. So the way we do that is to draw a big old box. So we're going to go 1, 2, we're going to look at that numerator, right, of the 3/4. If we know that this whole box is the whole, then we want to take 3 out of the 4 units. 1, 2, 3, because our numerator is 3. And we're going to, this right here, maybe I'll even use another color. This bad boy right here, this is 3/4 of the whole. Okay, because we have 1 line here, 1 line here, and 1 line here. 3 out of the 4 rows. Okay, and I think we should even label this 3/4 of the whole. Okay, 3/4 of the whole. If you need to pause this video so you can write, make sure you have all these things down. That's fine. Okay, so now we have 3/4 of the whole. Okay, but we want to take that 3/4 and we want to know what is 1/3 of the 3/4. Okay, so that means we would have need to divide this into 3 sections. I mean, you could even do little dotted line like this. Okay, there's section number 1, section number 2, section number 3. Okay, but we only need, the numerator tells us we only need 1/3 of that. Okay, so you can go ahead and shade in that 1/3. And I think it might be helpful to say 1/3 of 3/4. Actually, label our answer. Okay, so now we know what 1/3 of 3/4 looks like. Okay, but we need to know the answer to this problem. We've written out what it looks like, but we need to know what is 1/3 of 3/4. Okay, what is 1/3 of 3/4 in comparison to the whole? Okay, so if we know this is this, what we've shaded here, is 1/3 of 3/4. Now we want to know what is, how many shaded squares are there in comparison to the whole? Okay, because that's really going to give us our answer. Okay, well, let's see. First, let's decide, how many squares are there in the whole? Okay, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so there's 12 in the whole. And then we know that this little part right here, 1/3 of 3/4, is 1, 2, 3 shaded squares. So our answer, if we were to take what is 1/3 of 3/4 in relation to the whole, it is 3/12. Whoa, that's a lot. I'll give you a second to write that all down. Get that all in your brain. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and we're going to do another one for practice. Okay. Don't forget, you can pause your video if you need it. Make sure you get that all on your math notebook. Get yourself another piece of that grid paper. Okay, paste it into the next page of your math notebook. Okay, so let's try another one. How about 1/2 times 2/3? Okay, so I want you to go ahead and write this out in word form. Well, partial word form. Okay, what is going to go here? If we were to write that out, do you remember? What does this multiplication sign really mean? Go ahead and write it. All right, I hope you wrote this. Of 1/3 of 3/4. I'm sorry, 1/2 of 2/3 is really the multiplication problem we're working on here. Okay, so now to draw our whole, we need to look at these denominators. We have 2 by 3. Okay, there is our whole. And we know this is 1/2 and 1/2. And this is 1/4. No, sorry. 1/3 by 1/3 by 1/3. Okay, but we need to know, what is 2/3 of this entire space? The entire whole. Okay, so let me get my blue. Okay. Go ahead and outline, what is 2/3 of the whole? How many, remember the columns? Mom or dad or guardian nearby. Maybe this is a chance where you can take a peek and see, what did your student outline? Hopefully it looks something like this. row number 1, row number 2. Okay, and we could even label that just so we don't forget. 2/3. But now that we have 2/3, we want to break that down even smaller. We want to divide that in half. Okay, so if we have one row here and one row here, dividing it in half looks a little something like this. Now it's completely in half. We could even write 1/2. Okay. All right. Now at the bottom, we need to write our problem again, because we still don't have an answer. We have a nice picture here that's going to help us get our answer, but we don't actually have the answer. All right, so we say 1/2 of 2/3 equals. All right, do you remember what do we do right here to find out what the denominator is going to be in our answer? Why don't you go ahead and try? See if you can get the denominator written in there somewhere. Take a guess. All right, so the way we find out where that denominator is to see how many parts there are in the whole. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. There are 6 in the entire thing. And now we want to know, what does that 1/2 stand for? How many squares or units is only 1/2 of 2/3? So we have to look at the shaded part. So there's 1, 2. So 1/2 of 2/3 is 2/6. Very nice. You don't need to simplify this, okay? We don't need to go any further. We're just working on multiplying. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put one more up on the board. And I would like you to solve this one completely on your own. Parent, guardian, aunt, uncle, brother, cousin, whoever is there to help. I would love if, after I put this problem, if you could check and make sure that your student was correct and help them with wherever they're getting stuck. Okay. Why don't you go ahead and put my video on pause? Okay, so I hope that that problem went well for you. Okay. We're going to talk about another way that we can multiply, fractions. Okay, so let's get another multiplication, fraction multiplication problem on the board. Okay, so same thing. We know 2/3 it is really saying of 3/4. But there's another way that we can multiply. And I'm going to go ahead and do a few problems. I'm going to do 1, 2, 3 problems. And I want to see if you can tell me, what is the pattern here of all the problems that I do? What do you see? Okay. So you can just sit quietly and watch. Do you notice a pattern here? Let's take a look at the first one. Well, something I'm noticing is that the denominator is the same in the fraction and the answer. Okay. 8, 8, 5, 5, 10, 10. Okay. I'm also seeing the numerator being the numerator of the fraction being multiplied by the whole. So, for example, 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 6 is 12. 9 times 7 is 63. Okay? So that's our pattern here. We're multiplying the fraction by the whole. And that's giving us our answer. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put some more problems up here. Okay, let's see if you can solve these on your own. Oops, 3. Okay. All right, take a minute. Solve these problems on your own. Pause the video, solve these problems, and then we'll come back and work on them together. Okay, so hopefully you've had a second to solve these on your own, okay? Well, we know that this is the whole, right? And this is the fraction that we're working with, okay? So let's just start with the first one. We know the rule is that our denominator is going to come over, okay? Because little trick, maybe this is extra credit. What is this? What is this denominator right here? It's not written there, but what is that actually? Extra credit if you said 1. Right? And we know that 4 times 1 is 4. Would be the same here, same here. We know 3 times 1 is 3. And 5 times 1 is 5. Easy squeezy. All right. But then we need a numerator. So 7 times 1 is 7. 9 times 2 is 18. 11 times 2 is 22. Did you get them? Were these correct? I hope so. I hope this was helpful. Okay. Now don't forget, we will be meeting on Thursday at 12 p.m. Okay. You need to bring some more of this grid paper with you. So before Thursday, ask an adult to print some grid paper out for you so you can have this grid paper for your math notebook. Okay. Please remember to do your work in iReady. Okay. The work you're doing in iReady, you should be doing 45 minutes a week in iReady. The work you're doing in iReady is going to be very similar to the work we're doing together in class. Okay. All right. I hope you guys have a great day tomorrow. And please, if you have any questions, feel free to let your guardian know, and I'd be happy to answer them. Bye.